You talk about 12 small rooms rather than one big room. I'm not going to address that too much, except to say that it's much more efficient to gas people in small spaces, and that is self-evidently true. It's much easier to fill a small space with gas than a big space with gas. Therefore, you fill a small space with gas. It's much easier to service a small room than it is a big room, and you can probably be more efficient about it. Then you go on to the other this is a classic Holocaust denial thing. It's the carbon monoxide can't kill you from a diesel engine claim. It's a load of old bollocks. I put a link up on the side. You can absolutely kill somebody with a diesel engine. It's really fucking easy. Yeah, it really isn't complicated. And better yet, most truck engines in the Third Reich were petrol, because diesel engines were reserved primarily for tanks, and even then, even things like Tigers didn't have diesel engines. U-boats did. It was really sort of ships that they were interested in using diesel engines on. They did begin to miniaturise them and stick them in trucks. Really, diesels in trucks took off after the war. Mainly it was petrol, because that was what they had pre-war in Germany. You talked about, and I haven't addressed this here, but I realised I've missed it off my list of things that you talked about. You talked about our chap Rudolf HÖßs and his confession about another camp that doesn't exist. Again, I put a link up on the side. You can go and have a look at it. What he actually said was that there was a camp in an easterly direction, which was near Kublin. And if you go and look on the map, you can see precisely where that is. And by God, it exists. Miracle. You talked about an electrified floor. I've never heard of that before in my life. I don't know where you got that from. I can't find any references to it, so I can't answer it. I mean, I can't find any references to it, so I don't know where you got that from. You say you got it from the Nuremberg trial records. You have also said that the Nuremberg trial records are very difficult to navigate, and by God they are. I suspect you made that up. You talk about HÖßs taking over in June of 41. Well, that would make precise sense, because that was when he was summoned to Germany, and he was promoted from his previous position of being in charge of all prisons in Poland, and he was put in charge of the final solution by Himmler personally in June of 41. So when he says he began killing in June of 41, that's because when he first got the order was in June of 41. He didn't start to kill anybody in June of 41. I think you've got that slightly arse-about face. You also then went on to say the camps weren't built in June of 41, which is bollocks, because Dachau, which is, of course, the model concentration camp, which I'm sure you knew already, was established in, that's it, 1933, for political prisoners. That was what it was established for originally. And then they started to use it as a model concentration camp, and that was the place that they used as the model. And you've got to get your head around this idea of concentration camp, where you were worked to death, and death camp, where you were killed. There wasn't any holding area. Auschwitz-Birkenau was about the only place that we can tell that they had, in fact they had 3 camps there, where they had one which was a death camp, and 2 which were slave labour, or 1.5 death camps and a slave labour camp, depending on how you want to look at it. And by the way, I'm still not going to get into an argument about that. That is pretty much it. I think that's taken pretty much all of your points, and just very, very easily showed you what bollocks they are. My honest suggestion to you is, if you're really interested in this stuff and you want to actually do what you said you'd already done in the opening 10 minutes, you need to sit down and really understand both sides of the argument. I don't pretend to understand your argument, because so far as I can discern, there is no opposing argument here. Just a collection of people that want to, for reasons that are nothing to do with what actually happened, trying to deny the existence of the Holocaust because they fundamentally believe something about Jewish people. And that is what it boils down to. You have an opinion of Jewish people which is not neutral, which is intensely biased, and therefore everything that you look at with regard to the Holocaust has to be viewed through that prism of I hate Jews. And actually, perhaps, I know this sounds a bit psychoanalytical, I think you need to go and get some help, because I'm not sure you're a very happy man in your head. I think you're basing your entire self-worth around your ability to be better than other people, and that's not a happy place to be for anybody. So, anyway, have a lovely life. I hope never to speak to you again.